Hello and welcome to another episode of Set Musings. So I think what I'm going to do now, going forward, is every time there's a new set, I'm firstly going to open product with a view to opening it from a beginner's mind. And how I do that is I deliberately don't look at the set before I open it. I want to keep that approach because I love, getting that feeling you get when you open 6 packs of new product. Basically, the amount of product that you would use to build a sealed deck. If you were to ask me what is my favourite format of Magic, it is probably sealed. And that's no reflection on how good or bad I am at it, because sometimes, based on my sealed pool, I'm not always very good at leveraging the potential. But there is something about building a deck from a limited card pool that I find really engaging, as you probably gather from the amount of episodes of the Deck Turtle that I do. And so that's something I want to keep and do first. I'm trying to avoid doing any massive amount of set review before I get that initial hit of opening the packs. So what I'm going to do is, when a new set comes out, I will open the 6 packs or thereabouts, and then it'll be fairly quickly followed by Set Musings. And I feel that's nice because that then allows both myself and the viewers, you, to get a bit of a deeper dive based on what cards you've seen when I've opened the packs and what questions that's raised in your heads when you've seen that limited card pool. So that's what this video is about. It is a Set Musings for this Dungeons and Dragons Adventures in the Foreign Realms set. And you can see by the number of tabs, that gives you some idea of the complexity and the amount of preparation I have to do for this in terms of this set. So off screen, well, not off screen, but on my second screen, I have this, obviously, because otherwise I'd get so confused without having the comfort blanket that is MTG Wiki. So I'm going to go through, and I've got what you see on the screen at the moment, and I do encourage everybody, if they use Scryfall already, or if they haven't used it yet. One, if you haven't used it yet, it's a great tool. Secondly, is start mastering through the advanced tab the advanced features, and seeing what commands you need to put up here to get certain searches. It's super powerful, and you can do some real clever things. And often when I'm, I have a background in IT, and many of the platforms I've worked on over the years incorporate search features. And I love to sit there and use this sort of advanced search, and then see what search criteria it comes back with, and then use that as a way of entering it by hand going forward, because it's fun to sort of fiddle around in here with different Boolean searches and learning what the syntax is for the search. And that's what I've been doing in this as I've been going along. I've sort of taught myself what the commands are, and I've done that through playing around with the advanced features and seeing what gets put in up here. So it gets really confusing with modern sets. There are 281 what are considered to be standard cards, which are the contents of draft boosters. On top of that, I believe There's 121 additional cards which are different artworks and various other things based around that original sort of standard contents. And as I go through the tabs, most of the ones up to here, I think, deal with those different styles of cards. So we're going to look at that because it's pretty important now with modern sets. Obviously you didn't see that in my previous set musings where I've been doing older sets. You just don't see that. You might see the odd special card, and if you do a straight search in here, I don't know if I've got one open where the search is. Oh, I don't actually, but when you do it, you'll see, if you just go into advanced and just do what I call a set search, you'll see they break down. As you scroll down, you can see stuff grouped together, and the boxes up here will change accordingly. And as I've used it, I've obviously lost some of those features, but again, that's something that's worth playing around with and seeing how it breaks it down. Obviously, I've done some filtering here to make it easier for the episode. So I'll go through some of the individual cards later once I've shown you some of the cycles and some of the themes in the set, and then we'll just look at what's sort of left, if you like. But you can see here, just if I quickly scroll through, just to give you a broad overview. I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you've watched my pack cracks, my booster openings for the 6-packs, so you get some idea if you've not really engaged in the set at all. And just through scrolling here, you can see there's a lot going on. If you're familiar with Magic already, then you'll notice there's a new enchantment class, and you'll see also we've got coloured equipment as well is in here. The names are a lot elaborate as well and allude to Dungeons and Dragons. You'll see this inclusion, and I think I've got something open about this that explains the terminology of this. Because of the complexity of the set, what I'm going to do is when I post this and you watch it, you'll find in the description I'll include some useful links to some MTG Wiki articles which explain some of these new special, they're not really keywords, I can't remember what they call them, but anyway, there's some useful articles in there on that, and also ones that go into detail about the functionality of this. I did do a dry run where I tried to sort of explain this, and it is quite difficult for me to do that without confusing you. So I'm going to include a link to the article on exactly like the class and the rules text and all that sort of stuff, so you can read through that and get a better understanding. Because I feel that I'm going to really mess that up if I'm not careful. As you can see, you've got this sort of D20 theme going on as well. And we'll look at some of these cycles as well, but I just wanted to quickly scroll through this to precede you, for want of a better word, for the stuff I'm going to be talking about. Obviously, if you're watching this video, I'd really be interested in your own musings on the set and how you think it fits in, just thematically. And I'm interested in people's views on the complexity of the set. I find it pretty complex, the different potential board states and side things that you could run into here. So I'm interested in other people's feelings on this, because I know I get quite a interesting viewership in terms of people's familiarization with Magic through the years. So I know I'm going to get really cool feedback on people's opinions on the set. in terms of how they find it. We've got some interesting land going on as well here, and in response to one of the comments, I'm going to be going through the basic land artwork as well for this. There was a plan to do that. Thanks for the comment. It reminded me that yes, I do need to do that, because I'm not going back through any sort of land packs as part of the pack openings now, because I'm not I didn't use a bundle. So I think what I do first is obviously there's a number of borderless cards. I've broken these down a little bit, and again we're focusing now in the first part of this video mainly on the artwork treatments, and then we'll get on to some of the themes, mechanics, and keywords, abilities, and then cycles later on. But I just wanted to highlight the aesthetics here in terms of the artwork. So borderless is a thing still. So we've got a number of borderless planeswalkers. And the reason why I've separated these out from the rest of the borderless cards is I've noticed definitely sometimes the style can be slightly different because of the templating on there. So that's your borderless planeswalkers. Here's borderless other cards, if you like. So borderless cards that aren't planeswalkers. And you can see here, no surprise that a lot of these are legendary creatures or dragons. And we'll come on to cycles of these in a moment. There's a sort of slight, you can see what they've done. It's pretty subtle in some places, but as you look at it closer, you can sort of see the differences in the layout around this sort of borderless between planeswalkers and not planeswalkers. These things, so these are the showcase cards. So these have been a thing for quite a while now, where they'll have a set of cards that are in the style of something. So the idea is here, this is like almost like old school rule book style. And obviously these are just cards that are already in the set, but just in this style of artwork. Additionally, if any of you have ever bought any of the sort of D&D products, you'll recognize this style as well down here. So we've got this other style, which is also part of the showcase. And you can see here, that's what they've done with the land. So pretty interesting. We'll look at some of these cards in a bit more detail once we get through to things like cycles. But I wanted just to bring that up. It's nice you can see this whole, overview, I think. Which is difficult when you're on the ground opening the pack sometimes. Unless you're opening like a ton of product. Like, I don't know, booster box or a couple of booster boxes. And then we get this extended art, which is not quite the same as borderless, because it still has the black borders in it. And so there's a whole load of extended artwork versions of cards, quite a few. We're saying 37 here. And a couple of other things. You can see this is what I was talking about earlier. So this, if you just do a straight, if I go to the top, if you just do a straight set search, this is how it's broken down on Scryfall. So, which is nice. You get the in-boosters, and they have this nice jump to feature as well. So it's got in-boosters, Borderless Planeswalkers, alternate art Borderless cards, showcase cards, extended artwork, buy a box. So that's the buy a box promo. Then there's, what's that, 6 other promo cards as well. I think this is the card you get if you buy the bundle, like a foil treasure chest, I believe. So we're now sort of moving into themes and mechanics and various other things. So it's Dungeons and Dragons. So yep, dragons are a thing, and I'll go through some of these individual cycles in a moment. Plus there's, I think, what are they calling it, Dragonborn type cards as well. So you've got this Dragon Knight here, and you can see by just me doing a search on where the type is dragon, so somewhere in the dragon, I'm getting everything, because all of these now as well, I'm going to be including unique prints as well, just so you can see that a lot easier. If I sort by, so at the moment I'm sorting by set numbers, so it's going to make the regular prints bubble to the top, and then I get all the extended artwork, and then this. If I change the search, so I search by, say, sort by colour, then we can see these sort of side by side in here. But yeah, several dragons. Now if I take this out, see if I can do that. There you go, that's just the dragons without the different artwork. So there's 16 cards that have a card type of dragon in them. But that's with everything. So 30 cards in total if you include all the alternate artwork. I'm just seeing, I don't think anything's got more than one alt art actually. Looks like some don't, like the Jaded Sellsword. So not everything, for obvious reasons, has alternate art. Oh, that's right, yeah. I was going to bring this up now. I will include the link to this. I think this is the first time they've done. So we're used to seeing ability words like threshold and landfall and converge, all those sort of things. Yeah, metalcraft, domain over the years. And we've got these flavour words. So these refer to iconic Dungeons and Dragons abilities, actions or spells. The use in future sets is not off the table, but more likely for universes beyond the normal magic. Flavour words may be removed if the card is reprinted. And I went through, we saw some of these when I opened the packs the other day. Okay, so we haven't seen dungeons yet. We got dragons. So there's those 3 dungeon cards as well, which we saw. They're included in boosters as like a 16th card. So you know, they, how can I say this? You know, like if you're drafting, you don't draft them, they're in there like a token would be in there, or a promo card, or not a promo card, an emblem token, and like advert type thing. So there you go. There's 3: Lost Mine of Phandelver, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and Tomb of Annihilation. And this is something else I'll include a link to, in terms of how these are used. They don't go in your deck. They're at start outside the game, and they're played in the command zone. That's where they're sort of held when they are in played. And importantly, you get this problem when people start saying outside the game. In tournament conditions, that means the sideboard, but the dungeons don't take up a slot in the sideboard. You'll always have access to all 3 dungeons, and you never need more than one of the same one. And they get triggered by the venture into the dungeon, which we'll see in a moment. So in keeping with D&D, we've mentioned dungeons, we mentioned dragons, we mentioned flavoured words. Then we got dice rolling, D20s. So there's loads of cards, I say loads of cards, 28 cards that mention D20. Actually, I say that 20 cards. That includes unique prints. Again, if I take out the unique print here, this will filter it down a bit. But again, I wanted to include that so you could just see what was going on. Let's just search this by colour order, just so it clusters this together. So D20 is what we got. We got blue, black, red, green, artifact. Is there anything? So we are sorted by colour. So that's interesting. As I've got my search wrong, it looks like there's actually nothing in white. Curious. It's not the first time, obviously, we've seen dice rolling in Magic. I think it's probably the first time we've seen the use of a D20, as far as I know. We'll go through in a moment, just in case I've accidentally screened out some of these. When I get onto later, I'll look at some of the white cards. I keep my eye open, see if I see any D20s. It could be just the nature of the search in here has gone a bit wonky, but that's the way it looks on first pass. So yeah, D20 is a thing. Class is a thing. I'm going to include a link here that explains these class cards. You've got these levels on the card, and you can see there's a cost associated that. So at level 1, this effectively is the level 1, and then you have level 2, level 3. There's obviously in the rules, the full rules, in the comprehensive rules, there's explanation at how you effectively advance, if that's the correct word, through these levels, and the correct way to do that. So it looks like if this, I've done a unique print on here. We don't have any different artwork for these. And there's venture into the dungeon. So with venture into the dungeon, this plays into the dungeon's theme. So you get somewhere on the card that venture into the dungeon is triggered. This one's a bit, we'll come back to this in a moment, but you can see here for Cloister Gargoyle, when Cloister Gargoyle enters the battlefield, venture into the dungeon. On Delver's Torch, it was whenever equipped creature attacks, venture into the dungeon. And you can see here, there's a reminder here about enter the room first or advance to the next room. That one's triggered off the ETB. This one is an activated ability and on Secret Door. What have we got here? That's ETB. And then, yeah, there's a death trigger when it dies. Combat trigger when it deals combat. On this one, so with I suppose non-creature spells, once the spell effect has occurred, or so we have Fate's Reversal, so the spell is return up to one target creature card from your graveyard hand and then venture into the dungeon. And we've got Planeswalkers with it on, or a Planeswalker, which the +1 ability is venture into the dungeon. And there's dungeon map. Oh, yeah. And then we've got all the alt art versions of the stuff above. Now, where were we? Yeah, so this one is interesting. So, Keenid Sentry, actually, I was curious about that. So it's a way of like hosing the venture. So each opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. And I'm just trying to see if there's any other venture hoses here, actually. Because that's an interesting consideration in a set. Not that I can see beyond that one. Oh, I've accidentally got that twice. That happens. Oh, here's Pack Tactics. So this is another keyworded ability. And you'll notice that for the template for this, let me just, I think I've got this highlighted when I'm capturing it, so you can see it a lot easier than I can. With creatures with total power 6 or greater, this combat. So you'll see there's always, was it conditional? So whenever, in this case, we'll look at this one. So Werewolf Pack Leader. Whenever Werewolf Pack Leader attacks, if you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater, this combat, draw a card. So the common denominator is this power 6. Or the common feature in all of this is power 6, and then the rest of it is really just different for different cards. I'm sure there's some cards here where it's very similar, like it looks like here. This is very similar in that these both trigger when this attacks. So I'm just looking to see, most of them as well seem to be, obviously, yeah, that makes sense because of the nature of this. It's when, so yeah, the 6 power attacking is the common thing, and then the effect might be different. So we've got, interestingly, there's card drawing green there. +1/+1 counters. And of course each of these cards might have additional abilities on them. So yeah. So there are a number of legendaries in the set, both in terms of planeswalkers and artifacts and creatures. I'll break these down a little bit more, but I just wanted you to get some idea here. I've got all the unique prints, so it's 83 cards in total, because that also includes things like the extended artwork and the other sort of forms of artwork that are in here as well. Does it showcase? I think, yeah, there's a lot of showcase stuff. Now again, if I was to remove this unique prints search criteria here, then basically we've got 42 legendary cards, and that can either be, like I said, could be planeswalkers because they're legendaries, could be artifacts, could be creatures. In here, I don't think we've got any legendary lands. I'll come back to these cards in a moment as well. These are pretty important. No, got a little bit of legendary artifact equipment as well there. You can see we've got legends at uncommon, which we seem to be seeing more and more now actually. Here's our planeswalkers. So there's 5 of those. Each of them has some form of alternate artwork. In there. But in terms of if you're just looking at them without that, then you're going to say, well, there's actually a cycle of planeswalkers at Mythic. So legendary dragons at Mythic, there is a cycle. The way I did a search, it does include the 5 colour legendary dragon god as well, and you can see each one of those has a alternate artwork. Again, if I take out this part, and so we just focus on the cycle a bit better, you can see, yeah, got a cycle, and then as I've said, there's a 5 colour as well at Mythic. There's also a cycle of, what would you call them? I'm trying to think what they're calling them. Chromatic Dragons, I think, is what they're being called. So you've got white dragon, blue dragon, black dragon, red dragon, green dragon, white dragon. Oh, green dragon. Yeah, sorry, red dragon, green dragon. That's the cycle. And then, yeah, I've sorted a bit better here actually. So you can see there, those are all the different artwork versions as well. And they all have these, what were they calling them? Flavor words. Yeah, that was it. So they all have these flavor words. Cold breath, lightning breath, acid breath, fire breath, poison breath. And usually in a set, they, you know, the ability would just be here. There wouldn't be this flavour word in front of it. So like I said, this is unique for this set. Okay, so moving on. There is a cycle of 10. What's the best term you can call them? So these are gold legends at uncommon. Another way to look at it is there a cycle of signpost draft archetypes. So I've mentioned this in numerous unboxings over numerous sets, where you have these draft indicator cards, and this set is no different. Also, if you saw me do the pack openings, you'll see there's a little card in there as well. And at that point I was speculating, because I don't think I got any of these cards, or I missed them if I did, as to how they were doing that. And it's interesting they've included that like cheat sheet, if you like, to remind you about the different draft artifacts. Draft archetypes, if you never got to see these cards. So what do we got? There is a list of I wish I had the card in front of me actually, because it gave quite a handy list, and I did go through it in the video. But yeah, there's a cycle of 10 of these. They're all legendary creatures, which is interesting. And they're all 2-colour. Oh, interesting. Room abilities of dungeons you own. Trigger an additional time. And you can see, I believe, actually there was one, I didn't notice this. If we sort this, you'll see. And again, I don't think this is a screening error. But if I sort by colour, it'll leap out a bit better. You can see here, look, there's no alternate artwork for Targnar Demon Fang Knoll. Now, I think the main reason why I filtered these, some things get difficult to show you, and one thing, there is a cycle of colour hoses. So these are uncommon instant speed spells that get more effective when targeting a permanent of a specific colour. So we've got, the cycle is Divine Smite, which hoses black. Ray of Frost. Interesting, what happened here? Something. Let me just see. So we got, I'm going to screen out that. For some reason, I don't know why this is, I'm missing one of the blue ones. So Ray of Frost is the blue one, and that hose is red. Ray of Enfeeblement is the black one, that hose is white. Burning Hands is the red one, that hose is green. And Hunter's Mark is the green one, and that hose is blue. So, good old lands. At the moment I'm just looking at non-basic lands. So you can see here we've got a number of different things going on. What I'll do, so you can see what they've done with the non-basic lands, and I think I flagged this up earlier. We've got this sort of set here of alternate art, very much in that style of D&D. And there's one for each one, I think. Yep. Is there one for Dungeon Descent? I think they're missing that. 14 cards. Let's just resort that and just see again. So we'll do it by colour. Oh no, there is, yeah. So yeah, each one does have. So each one of these rares, non-basic lands, has that. Now you'll see if we remove the unique prints, it makes it a bit easier. And there we go. So we've got a cycle here of non-basic lands. They'll be, I believe, what they call fast lands. So if you control 2 or more other lands, Cave of the Frost Dragon enters the battlefield tapped. So if you don't have, these are great if you don't have any lands out, or you have, if you don't have any lands out, actually, if you control 2 or more lands. So either none or 1, you're good. If you've got any more than that, then they just enter the battlefield tapped. They tap for the appropriate colour, single colour of mana, each one, but for a cost you can convert them. They will transform into a creature until end of turn. So the white one becomes a 3/4 white dragon for 4 and a white. The blue one becomes a 7/7 blue giant creature with ward. So some of these have abilities on them as well. For 5 and a blue, the black one also at 3/3 black beholder creature with menace and additional ability. So that's 3 and a black. The red one for 3 and a red is a 3/2 goblin creature. And we get obviously Lair of the Hydra. X and a green gives you an XX green Hydra creature. X can't be 0, by the way. And not surprisingly, yeah, just obviously there's an echo of the name down here. Then we've got a couple of lands which generate colourless mana. We've got Dungeon Descent, which also is venture into the dungeon, so that interacts with your dungeon stuff. And then Treasure Vault, which generates colourless but can also generate treasure tokens through this ability here as well, which in turn have their own way of generating mana. So that's cool. Oh, I'd already done that. No, this is all the land. Yeah, so I wanted to do a search with all the land, so not just that cycle and those couple of lands that generate mana of non-coloured mana. So we've got Evolving Wilds is in the set, different artwork. Colourless mana, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. We've also got Temple of the Dragon Queen, which is uncommon. All the others we looked at a moment ago, were all at rare. So, as Temple of the Dragon Queen enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. Temple of the Dragon Queen enters the battlefield tapped, unless you reveal a dragon card this way. Or you control a dragon. You get to choose a colour, and it generates 1 mana of the chosen colour. There's Treasure Vault. Now, did I did. There we go. So this is a lot easier because you see it's nicely laid out here, so we can get a bit of an appreciation here. Let me see Can I take that up a notch without spoiling that? Yes. Okay. This is why I wanted to do this. So, hopefully that's not getting too blurry. There's often an optimal zoom rate for this. Yeah, so these are planes. These are cool. I imagine some of these could potentially, the artwork could really pop in foil. I like all of these planes ones actually. These ones, it's these two really stick out. I think I feel drawn to the outer ones. I mean, they're all cool, but these outer ones. Oh wow, look at those swamps. Yeah, I'd be happy to play any of those. This one, I imagine, if it's foiled correct, you know, I can say correctly, but has the potential to look really good in foil. Oh my, these are nice. I like these two here particularly. Forest looks good. This looks particularly, well, I wouldn't say realistic, but it has that quality to it. Now all of this, yeah, all of this I'd be happy to play. These middle two I don't feel so drawn to, but the rest of this, I mean, I like them all, don't get me wrong. This is cool artwork in this set for the for these basic lands. Wow. Okay, so as I've already mentioned, I've decided to draw a line under my commander deck opening. I am planning on doing something with it revolves around the deck, no doubt at some point, at a strategic point. It won't be straight away after this video, it might be a little bit later because I want to get back onto the just finishing off the rest of Urza block. But I'm definitely thinking about doing something else, you know, if I'm not going to be opening these decks. I might as well do something, and it could be an episode of the Commander Fodder where, you know, I look at some of the other legends in a deck and build around that, and see, you know, if you do that, what cards you can keep and what you have to get rid of to do that. And that lends itself real well to obviously doing with digital cards in something like Archetypes or something like that. But what I will do is I will include a link in the description of the set, because these sync up with the set. Now obviously, you know, you're going to see cards in the Commander product which aren't in the set. They're specifically in the Commander product. And so the nice thing about this article is it does highlight up those. And you can see again, I suspect what they've done is they've within the deck itself, you can sort of, it's indicated which cards come from where based on their card number or their set symbol. Because sometimes what they'll do is they'll include obviously certain cards from the set that it syncs up with, and they'll indicate as such through the use of the appropriate set symbol. Oh, it looks like we've got D20s going on. So that would imply there's a commander and a lead commander and alternate in the set. So what's this? This is a green, white, blue. Oh, there's another one. Cool. Anyway, that's for another time. So let's get back to the set as a whole. So all I've done here is I've excluded all the unique prints. So this is just the set with just the regular art, however you want to call that. So I was curious because I think I said that it looked like, based on my searches, I couldn't see any D20 cards that occurred in white. And this is a good opportunity to just scroll through and just see whether there is anything that references D20s in white. Not that I can see. You can see they've done some interesting things here with the names. So there's some, I think they're all at, are they all at common? Yeah, so just going back up actually, sorry about that, I got distracted. It does look like there's nothing that cares about D20s in white. Unless I'm missing something really obvious. See, as I've flagged up before, there's quite a few of these modal spells. You know, triggered off an ETB. Or modal abilities, I keep calling them modal spell, modal ability. In addition to modal spells, there's creature cards with modal abilities. Okay, so you can see a lot of the stuff we've seen already. So we've got these flavour words, I think they were called. I'm trying to find a few more of these cards where they have slightly longer, yeah, like very much, you know, you come to a river, you find the villain's lair. I wonder if they're all modal instance. You see a guard approach. Power word kill. Vorpal sword. So that's a reference to the Jabberwocky poem, isn't it? His Vorpal sword went snicker snack, I believe is a line from the poem. Oh, kick in the door. So I'm just looking to all these like D&D references. There you go, you come to the Knoll camp, another instant, another modal instant. You see a pair of goblins, you find some prisoners. Choose your weapon. Okay, what do we got? Oh, good old ooze. Oh, my friend the owlbear. It's an adult gold dragon. And I think, as you saw note through the classes, there were a number of 2-colour classes, but not in every colour combination. I think there was only 5. Another bag of holding. And you're going to see, I suspect, lots of like classic references through artifacts to D&D stuff, although not as many. I was expecting a lot more equipment actually than there appears to be here. I suppose you can only do so much in a set. And there's all our and then our Planeswalkers. So this is just basically sorting by, I think, set number. So you can see here we'll get through, and now we're just running into all the alt artwork here because I've asked it to show everything, the unique prints, the lot. So it's very, for me, when I look at it, it does seem super complex, but maybe that's just me. Let's just, is there a lot of, I wonder if there is a lot of, so that would be in the, I think that's the right one. No, it's only one potion. Yeah. So they must have, had to make a pretty dramatic choice. Saying that, I wonder if there's a lot of coloured equipment. I didn't think about that actually. I should have thought before I opened my mouth. Oh yeah, okay, no, that makes a lot more sense. There we go. Right. Still, yeah. I don't know, it's a moderate amount. Yeah, so we got coloured equipment in white, single one in blue, 3 in black, red, green, and then there's the alt art. Let's just narrow that down a bit. Yeah, it must be difficult, I suppose, with the, what they were trying to aim for with trying to go Dungeons, Dragons, rice rolling. I keep doing that. Dice rolling. And then they want to introduce a class and, all that sort of stuff. So I suppose 21 pieces of equipment in the set isn't too bad. So, interesting. Let me just take that out. I think I've pretty much come at that from multiple angles now because there is so much going on. And me hopefully just scrolling through like I did a moment ago has given you a bit of a better idea about the deck. This replaces me being able to go through that lovely player's guide striking encyclopedia that I used to like so much. It's obviously with modern sets as well, and this is not a new thing, it's been going on for a while. You get this consistency of artwork as well. And there's a few pieces of artwork that do tend to stand out a little bit more than others, but I mean, there has been certain sweet spots in Magic's history, and I think I've flagged this up before, where the artwork did get super consistent. And you'll see with, there's a lot of references to certain creatures that are prominent in D&D. Other things which I didn't necessarily pull out, there is a vertical cycle of Dragonborn. So these are 3 humanoid dragons without flying. Well, actually, no, I did think I mentioned that when I was going through and talking about the dragons. I think I deliberately included the Dragonborn in there. So Selfless Paladin, where's the other one? There's a Wandering Troubadour. There you go, Wandering Troubadour and Jaded Sellsword there. So this, vertical cycle. And there is a cycle of gnomes as well, three non-artifact gnomes: Oswald Fiddlebender, Feywild Trickster, and Clever Conjurer. And there's a whole load of mirror pairs that I'm not going to specifically go through as well, and some of which have similarish names. So there's like a mirrored pair of talismans and a mirrored pair of books, and I think there's a mirrored pair of elementals as well in the set as a whole. Battlecry Goblin, Goblin Morningstar. So again, as we sort of scroll through this once more, you're going to see a lot of stuff sort of bounces out. Plummets in the set. I didn't really know. I've really sort of pulled out, those massive amounts of reprints actually. The sort of cards that continually get reprinted. And it'll be interesting how they deal with not having a core set again. So one of the advantages with the core set, and this is it's more of a thing with standard, I suppose, than eternal formats, is it's a way of getting, I'm trying to think of the name of the word, but those sort of cards that you constantly need, like counter spells and various other things like that, the sort of mainstay cards of Magic, which if there isn't a core set there for standard, you have to basically print in one of the sets, or a set that's going to be in standard, so that you have access to those cards at competitive play. So it's going to be interesting now we've lost core sets again, how that's going to manifest itself in the different sets. Are we going to see straight reprints of cards, more of them, because obviously reprints turn up in non-core sets, and that's been the case for a long time, but obviously how do you spread that out? Do you spread it out across multiple sets? Do you have functional reprints, which then can sometimes present problems for eternal formats? If you've got multiple cards that do the same thing, how much do you want to need to do that, or doesn't it matter? Those sort of things. So it's going to be interesting. Price wise, it looks like the most expensive card in the set is the all artwork of Tiamat. So it's a Wooburg legendary creature dragon god. Oh look, 5 heads. When time enters the battlefield, if you cast it, search your library for up to 5 dragon cards not named Timer that each have different names. Oh, I wonder what cards they could be. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. You've still got to obviously play them. Oh, then there's Old Gnawbone. $26 for the flashy version. Demolish. What does this do? Oh, heavy investment in blue there. 4 blue. This spell costs 1 blue less to cast for each instant sorcery spell you've cast this turn. Whenever Demolish attacks, exile target instance. You copy it, you may cast the copy. You may cast Demolish from your graveyard by exiling 4 instants and or sorcery cards from your graveyard in addition to paying its other costs. Interesting. So these are all mythics. Got a bit of a... Yeah, I suppose what's going to happen is... Yeah, so if the regular copy is also fairly expensive, we're going to see repeats. Yeah, okay, so that does make sense. What did I put in my search criteria? Oh, it's just doing all prints. I don't really need to change that. Knowledge Spider Queen. It's interesting. So $16 for the all artwork. Yeah, so that's why. So we're getting down to $15 now for that regular artwork. Inferno of the Star Mounts. Wow. Some of these look just amazing in there. That sort of full art, borderless stuff. $12 for the Book of the Exalted Deeds. Inferno of the Star Mounts. This must be the $11 one, as you can see there. Wraith. Desert Doom. Oh, a Beholder. Yep, and we get into the below $10 range. And I think we all know what is going to be the card in the new set that is most played in EDH. Because remember, this is just across all sets, because there's going to be a reprint. And actually, we know what one of the main reprints is in the set. It's got new artwork. And if you haven't worked it out by now, you're going to see in a moment. It's Evolving Wilds. It's been reprinted numerous times. It's obviously super popular in EDH. Oh, look, and there's the D&D style-y Evolving Wilds as well. Bag of Holding. Plummet. Treasure Vault. Oh, yep. Old Gnawbone. Charm Sleep, Time Mate, Circle of Dreams, Druid, Zorn. I don't know how much I like this particular group of artwork. It makes me think of playtest cards. I know it's a step up from that, but that's what it makes me think of. Oh, look at that. So I'm just mesmerised by all the different Evolving Wilds artwork. It's an interesting set of a little mini set collection you can have. Actually, is a collection of the different Evolving Wilds artwork. How much are those? You know, you can see it would be a pretty affordable collection. Wow. I think that's online only. That's a promotional. That was promotional from online. Although, oh no, look, there you go. Wow. What is that? I don't remember seeing that in... that's the one I remember. Pretty cool. Okay. This is nice. Oh, that's the secret layer drop one. Oh, yeah, that's the Bob Ross one. I thought, yeah, that's Bob Ross, yeah. Okay, so it's Bob Ross inspired one. All right. Anyway, I think we've run our course in the video. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's been interesting for me doing this, and I'm definitely now invested in saying, well, I do my booster pack opening sort of unspoiled. Get that, as fan, as you fan out the cards impression from opening 6 packs, and then do a follow-up episode of set musings, which sort of puts everything in context and picks up any mistakes I made, because it is sometimes, some of the sets are harder to evaluate as you're going along in terms of what's going on, because of unusual keywords, abilities, or just mechanisms within the set, or the way they do or don't explain certain features on the cards themselves through the use of the rules text. Anyway, thanks once again for watching this. It's 1 hour 12, not too bad, and you can't really shorten down this sort of thing, I don't think, anyway, because you do really need some time to explore and ruminate over the implications of a set on lots of different levels. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.